Question number 27, we are told to use the slope-intercept form to graph the equation 5x plus 4y equals 20. And then once we do, of course, we'll use the graphing tool to graph the line and use the slope and y-intercept when drawing the line. All right, so they've given us some clues here. They're telling us to use slope-intercept form. So again, now at this point in the practice test, we've looked at slope-intercept form at several points. So to review, the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And we really like this form for graphing because in this form, we can identify the slope, m, which of course is the rise over the run, and we can quickly identify the y-intercept based on b. And the y-intercept is a point just like any other point on your rectangular coordinate system, so it's an x comma y. Now, let's take a look at the equation that we were given. We were given 5x plus 4y is equal to 20. So the first thing I'm going to ask myself is this equation 5x plus 4y equals 20 in slope-intercept form? Is the y all by itself here? No, clearly not, right? We've got a whole bunch of things going on. In fact, this equation is in standard form, which is another form that you can use for graphing, but you cannot identify the y-intercept nor the slope in standard form. The only form that you can identify these two pieces of information right off the bat just by looking at the equation is by putting the equation in slope-intercept form. So let's go ahead and manipulate this equation and get the y all by itself. So first things first, we can start to isolate that y by subtracting 5x from both sides. And when we do that, on the left-hand side here, 5x minus 5x is gone, and we're just left with 4y is equal to negative 5x plus 20. And of course, the reason it's a plus 20 is because here on the right-hand side, what's the sign in front of that 20? Well, it's positive, isn't it? And so when we actually need to show the sign for addition, we will say plus 20 because it's a positive 20. And last but not least, to isolate that y, we'll simply divide each term in the equation by that coefficient. So 4 divided by 4 on the left-hand side is now gone. So we end up with y is equal to negative 5 over 4x, and 20 divided by 4 gives us a nice integer, positive 5. So this is now the equation that we can quickly identify the slope and y-intercept because now we're in slope-intercept form. So based on this equation, we can see that our slope is negative 5 over 4. And again, that comes from right here, the coefficient of x. And the y-intercept is our point 0, comma, positive 5. And that comes from right here. So just like we've been doing, let's hand graph this equation first, and then we'll talk about how to plot it using the formula, the software rather. All right, so as we've discussed, you always start by plotting your y-intercept. So 0, 5 is going to be right there on the y-axis, and from that point, we're going to use our slope to get to the next point. So our rise over run in this case says to first drop by 5 units and then run to the right 4 units. So let's fall 5 units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then run to the right 4 units, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's where our next point lives, and of course if we were graphing these by hand, we would take a straight edge and do our best, certainly better than that, of connecting those two ordered pairs. So that's what our line is going to look like. So let's go ahead and actually plot this on the computer software. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm not going to clear everything because I want to make sure that we plot the right information. So I'm going to only get rid of what we don't need for graphing here. Alrighty. So I'm going to leave this part here and see if we can still graph. If we pull this up Yeah, that's not too bad, not in the way. All right, so based on this equation here, we're ready to graph, right? And just to quickly review, we know that the y-intercept is 0, comma 5. That comes from the b of y equals mx plus b. So let's find 0, 5, and again, confirm that the ordered pair you want to plot is in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, that yellow box there. And when you're ready to plot, left-click with your mouse, and that locks in that point right where you clicked. And then to get to the next point, we're going to, based on our slope, drop 5 units and run to the right 4 units. So we're going to drop 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and run 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. Left click, that locks in that second point, and you can see now that the line itself is locked in. We will save, and that completes question 27.